Doesn't it feel like now more than ever, uncertainty feels more prevalent? And this uncertainty creates some fear, which leads us to frenetic activity and busyness and chaos. And when we're in chaos, we're so overwhelmed we can't make rational decisions, let alone optimal ones. Now, the good news about chaos is if it's a habit, it's a choice. And if we can choose chaos, we can also choose calm. The calm I'm going to talk about today is going to energize your performance in every area of your life. Because when we live with calm, we live with more purpose, more presence, more productivity. It's about taking care of yourself and focusing on what matters most first, so that you can take care of everything else in a more calm and a less chaotic way. So just picture this. It's Monday morning. This impeccably dressed 42-year-old female rushes through the ER doors demanding pain pills. Of course, I had to say, well, what seems to be the problem? Oh, I got this jaw pain. I've been taking ibuprofen, but I need something stronger, and I'm in a hurry. Well, I had to say, well, ma'am, we'll have to give you a complete assessment before we can give you anything. Assessment? How long is that going to take? I don't have time for this. I got to get back to work, take my boys to practice, and my mother-in-law to the hairdresser. Well, as she was ranting breathlessly, I noticed that sweat were forming on her. It was an ashen gray. Well, it turns out with a little more conversation, Jill really hadn't felt well for a couple of weeks, always tired and breathless with a little activity. The whole time we're talking, she's checking her watch, staring at her cell phone and asking me, are we about done? Well, a couple more tests revealed that Jill was having a heart attack. She was scheduled for a cardiac catheterization that day. I went into her room to tell her. She was gone. I mean, left the building gone. That gone. Because you see, Jill didn't have time for a heart attack. She was too busy taking care of her 2 bosses, her 3 boys, and her mother-in-law's shampoo and set. Now, if you don't have time to take care of a heart attack, what do you have time for? Deep breathing is the most powerful tool that I used as a nurse in the ER. You know, you tell someone to relax when they're in the emergency room, when they're in pain, when they're out of control, when they're scared to death. What does that mean? But everybody can always take a deep breath. And so if you get nothing else out of today, I want you to appreciate the power of a deep breath before you say something you wish you hadn't to your child or your spouse or your mother-in-law, or in traffic, or when you are looking at a huge insurmountable project that seems impossible. The deep breath, because it clears away the clutter here. So just think about your own life right now. Where are you experiencing chaos, extreme confusion and disorder? Your relationships? How about your email? How about your thinking? Do you find yourself ruminating about the same things over and over again? The definition for calm that I like to use is quieting the dragons of fear and worry. Does anybody in here wrestle with dragons of fear and worry? I got mine from my mother. Maybe some of you did too. But to go from chaos to calm requires one really critical ingredient, and that is intention. Your intention is not so much a goal, but it's more of a vision, a direction, an attitude that you want to take your life in. Intention has changed my life. Because as a recovering adrenaline junkie, I used to be one of those people that would hit the snooze 3 or 4 times, then jump out of bed with my hair on fire, running around the house, throwing the dog out, grabbing lunch, throwing something on, jumping in my car, already late, and then screaming at every red light and every driver who's actually going the speed limit before I ever got to work in the emergency room. I created all this chaos myself. Now I start my day with a daily practice that keeps me more grounded and centered and focused. I listen more. I observe more. My day is different because I show up different. And I want to show you how to show up different too. The first step is opening, what I call opening to grace. Opening to grace is opening to what might be possible if you choose what you focus on. Opening to grace is about living in your heart, your true heart's desire, instead of always in your head. Opening to grace is about being right here, right now, in the present, versus agonizing about the past or worrying about the future. When we open to grace, we just unveil who we really are. We remember who we really are and what's most important. Well, I had the opportunity last January to lead a group on a yoga retreat in Costa Rica on the Osa Peninsula. The Osa Peninsula is a very, it's one of the more remote areas of the island, and they say it's where the jungle meets the sea. And we stayed at an ecotouristic resort in yurt hut tents is where we slept, and close enough to the ocean we could hear the waves at night, and we could also hear the howler monkeys roar at dawn every morning, and I mean roar. Now they told us that they were harmless, they're only the size of a small dog, but they are so loud that the first morning I heard one, I thought King Kong was in the tent. Really. In fact, just to give you an idea of how loud and terrifying these monkeys are, they use the howler monkeys for the sound effects of Jurassic Park for T-Rex. Most of the time when I give retreats, I notice that the people that are attracted to go to them usually are in some kind of a transition. And one woman, Wendy, who was a very successful VP of a cable company, she was grieving the loss of her husband 3 years before and just couldn't seem to quite move through that. And so the first couple of days, Wendy was pretty quiet, a little withdrawn. About the third day, she was talking a little more and became a little more animated. By day 4, we could not shut that woman up. She was talking and laughing, doing all kinds of yoga inversions and back bends and arm balances. And she signed up for the snorkeling trip, which is so significant because Wendy had a severe phobia of water. Here is a woman who totally opened to grace. And it all came within her. She transformed. And I want all of you in this room to know that you can transform too. The second step is creating your intention. Now, I realize that this can be rather challenging because I'm asking you to focus on an area of your life that's uncomfortable, that's probably not working the best that you'd like for it to work, or you would need to create an intention around it. But what's really important to remember is that we don't make positive change when we're comfortable. We only make it when we're uncomfortable. Because when we're comfortable, we just coast, don't we? We just kind of cruise. We don't do anything differently. To change, we have to get uncomfortable. It is transformational. It's more transformational than I ever knew possible. Because where we put our attention is where our intention goes, whether we know it or not. I got this email from a woman, day 7. She writes, "So far I have not missed a day. I am noticing that I am calmer and handling busy days with much more grace. I glide from one activity to the other, keeping my concentration on what I am doing, prioritizing and not fretting about fitting everything in." That's intention. So just like any life-changing, transformational idea or practice, we have to commit. We have to commit to doing it because good intentions aren't good enough, right? A lot of us have good intentions. So why not try this? I'm gonna invite you to commit to practicing your intention for the next 30 days. And I will commit to supporting you with unlimited email. But it all hangs in the first step. Because it's not enough just to know it. You already know all this. One must begin the journey.